What's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of Dynasty Queens. I'm your host, Pamela Nicole. We've got my beautiful best friend,
Nia J. What's up, y'all?
Hey. Today we got a special treat for you guys. Today we've got the Eva Evans in the building. Let's go ahead and give her a hand. Welcome to the show, girl.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you, ladies.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
So, real quick, Eva, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and so they have just a little sneak peek of who you are.
See, every time somebody asks me to tell me about myself, I'm like, I'm a comedian, because that's all I'm focused on. I'm like, what else other than a comedian am I? I'm somebody's daughter. I'm a dog mom. I produce comedy shows. I'm a hustler. I used to bartend. I bartended for 7 years, so I have that skill under my belt. And I'm a proud Jamaican.
Hey.
Okay.
What else? I don't know. I feel like I'm a good time.
Yeah.
That's always good. We love a good time. Okay, so Eva, go ahead and give us like a little bit of background on, how you got your start in comedy. Was there like a person in particular who influenced you that you saw on TV growing up, or did you hear your parents playing like comedy records or watching specials, or give us the rundown on how you got your start into the game of comedy?
Girl, let me tell you. So my origin story is like a villain origin story. It's pretty sad how I got into comedy, like my interest. So usually like in the early part of my career, I would just tell like a short version. But now that I'm more comfortable in my skin and comfortable in my journey, I don't mind being more transparent. So I'm gonna go ahead. Y'all make me feel comfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all the full story. So like I was raised by a single mother. And like she wasn't the type of mother to like talk badly about my father. You know how some baby mothers like bitter and like, oh yeah, your father ain't shit. She never did that. But I would ask questions. I'm like, Ma, like what was he like? What was he into? Da da da. And she always told me like, oh, he loved Martin Lawrence. He's a big Martin Lawrence fan. That's like what she used to tell me about my father. So I'm like, 5, 6, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm funny enough, maybe he'll like me and he'll want to be my dad. So that's where it started. My interest in humor and comedy started from that young. And I was always trying to be very funny. I was trying to get a father. And then it went way past that. You know what I'm saying? In high school, I won, funniest in my class. And then what really set me off to do stand-up was a really bad breakup. I went through a bad breakup. It was my first time getting my heart broken. And I wrote jokes about how his mama can't cook. And I went to an open mic and I paid $5. And I was talking about his mama's terrible cooking. And I got laughs. And I was like, oh, this right here is something. This right here is something. So that really started my career in stand-up. But my interest in humor and comedy was always there as a child.
I think it's so funny or not funny, that's not the right word. I think it's really interesting how people that choose comedy, a lot of the time it is some type of like sad backstory. Something to that effect where that is like y'all's coping therapy session, and most of us, we don't have that gift to get up there in front of all those people and be like, you know what, I am the shit, I'm about to kill this. But something about comedians, it's always from a place of trauma or pain, and y'all just pour that, I feel, really into your craft.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because a lot of my jokes kind of have like a dark twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it comes from hurt. It comes from trauma. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So relatable to like everyday people. Everyone has some kind of shit going on. You know what I mean? And it's such a relief to laugh about your life sometimes. Like if you're going through shit and it's like, damn, could it get any worse? And it's like, actually, someone down the street, they could be doing a lot worse than you, and it's it just makes your day better. So I always do appreciate dark humor because it's messed up, but it's so funny and so honest,
Yeah.
If something's funny enough, it won't be offensive. It won't be, I'm saying? Like, when people are offended by jokes, I'm like, that's because it either wasn't funny enough or you literally are just being offended. Like, you trying not to hear the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that takes such a gift, too, like, for comedians to get up there and really say some crazy stuff where you're like, wait a minute. And for you to get that laugh, that laughter, it's like, okay, the joke did what it's supposed to do. Like, it's offensive, but it's cool enough where it kind of like people can be like, oh, okay, that's true. And because of that, there's humor behind it. I think that's really cool. Okay, so a young girl, single mom household, dad is not around. So who is a comic that you look up to? I know your mom mentioned that your dad loved Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
But as a child, who did you admire and say, I could possibly do this one day?
The first person I fell in love with, I saw some more on not Def Jam.
Comic View?
Comic View.
Yes.
And I was not supposed to be watching that.
Me
And I
neither.
saw her and I was like, hold up. She's mad pretty. I'm like, oh, you could be pretty. Yeah, cause all I saw was like, Martin, of course. Men, and then like the women like Rosie O'Donnell. No shade to Shorty, but you know what I'm saying? So when I seen so I didn't think so when I saw some more, I was probably like 10 or 11. I'm like, oh, you can be pretty and do this? Oh, it's lit. It's lit. So some more really like changed my life. And I told her that in person too, and she gave me a rose.
Oh,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, she is hilarious. She's like one of those real, like gritty to the point type of comedians. And I agree. As a young girl, I really loved her too.
Yeah.
I love the whole Comic View situation, but yes, the more she was funny. She still is.
She still is.
Yeah.
Now, what about male comedians that you would looked up to besides Martin Lawrence?
I really liked D.L. Hughley. I feel like his comedy was, because even as a child, I'm like, oh, that's really smart. Like his comedy is smart.
Yeah.
It's not for every average Joe to just, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're not well read, you may not understand what he's saying. And I like that. He trims the fat off his audience by being that smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked him as a kid. Who else did I like? Oh, and also like I was really into all that. So like Keenan and Kel, like little kid. You know what I'm saying? All that was like, because I could watch that without getting in trouble. Comic View, my mother would see that and get mad. What you doing watching that?
Yes.
But all that was
literally.
I thought Keenan and Kel. Yeah, I thought they were comedic gods.
And
you know what else I like too? I liked all that, and I like Mad TV. Like I know Mad TV was like on the adult spectrum, but I love me some Mad TV back in the day.
Mad TV was mad funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't forget about SNL.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we're not gonna forget about SNL, but we're not gonna forget about SNL. But I feel like Mad was like a little bit like it was just a little bit more my speed growing up. Mad TV.
Gotcha.
But I would still take a job at SNL. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
We don't know who watching.
Exactly. That part.
So tell me real quick, Ava, what when you were like an adolescent, what was like the punchline joke that had everybody cracking up?
You know what? At school, I never like people would say things, and I would just have quick comebacks.
Mm.
So that's what it was. I would get roasted all the time because like my mother's an immigrant from Jamaica, so like she couldn't like afford the cool stuff like Jordans. Remember when Pepe jeans was popping?
Yeah.
Jordans and Nietzsche, like all those things. Like I was wearing my sister's hand-me-downs. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get to dress how the other kids was dressing, so they used to violate me. So I used to have to come back with stuff. So it was just like me kind of defending myself a little bit. In high school, I know, like, I was just really quick with it. I think that's what it was. People were just always shocked to see how quickly I would think of things.
So what was a go-to? Because, back in those times, I'm assuming we're all millennials here.
Yeah.
Back in those times, it was either a your mama joke or the dozens, right? So what was like two like quick hitters that you have for like a bully on the playground or someone when you're trying to skate or something or that came up on you? What would you say?
Girl, I'm trying to think. I done blocked them years out. That was I done blocked out the trauma. Girl.
You have to.
I had to block that out. I can't even remember. I just know that they came for me and I was... Because at first I used to cry a lot. And I'm like, nah, the bullies love that. I'm like, nah, I gotta come back.
Right.
And they would always get pissed too. Like they wouldn't have a comeback. So they would, oh, I want to fight you. Oh, I want to... And I'm like, bro, how you gonna start with me and I have a joke and now you want to fight? Right. You have no comeback.
That don't make no sense.
It doesn't.
Kids, man.
Losers.
Total losers. Okay, so at this point in your life, we know that you're, into comedy. You have you're realizing, okay, like I can defend myself when it comes to bullies. I can make the crowd laugh. Perhaps this is my little time to shine. So what were the next steps that you took? I know that you ended up going to school and pursuing something professionally and everything, but what led up to that? And then tell us about your journey, like through high school, college, and then how you ended up, in a cubicle, just, I guess, feeling like you were wasting away pretty much.
Yes. All right, so from high school, because, like, I don't know where y'all family's from, but, like, immigrants, like, there is no chasing no dreams. You go to school and you get a job. You could dream about that dream at your work. You know what I'm saying? When you clock in, you could tell jokes.
Right.
But, like, so my mother, like, my family wasn't on, like, no chasing a dream type thing. So it didn't cross my mind to pursue comedy outside of when I left college. When I left high school. Went straight to college, got a degree in TV and film, worked at Showtime. So I guess the breakup really pushed me over the edge. But I'm sorry. Am I answering the question? What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Well, that's cool. Well, you're on the right track. But I guess you just brought up Showtime. So what was your role at Showtime and how long?
Oh yeah, okay. So I worked at Showtime for 3 years. That was my first job out of college. Okay. And I was an advertising coordinator at that job. And I remember it was just, I don't know how it is now, but at the time, it was white, predominantly white.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go to HR all the time, crying, like, all the time. And she was a black lady, and she's like, you know what, you may have to leave here because I don't really see people of color advance that much. They leave, they get the experience here, and then go elsewhere. So, a girl just left and went to Sesame Street, and, maybe you should think about leaving. I'm like, what kind of advice is that? But anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember one time, this was when I went to the open mic, I had a meeting. It was right after Father's Day, because Father's Day is on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And we had a budget meeting on the Monday. And I remember in the meeting, they were like, oh, everyone had a good Father's Day? And then somebody in the meeting turned to me and was like, oh, we don't mean to be insensitive. Like, do you know your dad? Or, like, do you have a father? Like, and they didn't know my history about me coming from a single parent home. They just assumed because I'm black.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed that they were right. I'm like, I don't got no daddy. No, but it was like, I was just like, wow, like, for you to assume.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, I don't think I could be here long term.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was just depressed. And then also, like, I wear, like, right now, I got my natural hair out, but, like, I wear a lot of wigs. And, like, the white girls at my job used to always complain, like, oh, it's distracting. You always have a different color. I'm like, how is my hair stopping you from sending your emails, man?
That.
Oh. That's crazy.
I never know what to expect. That's why you shouldn't be expecting nothing. Send your emails and mind your business.
Right. And people don't think about that. Like, racism is more than just calling somebody the N-word or
exactly
direct. It's the other stuff like that can actually be more impactful to your psyche than everything else. Because you're making me feel like I'm standing out, like I'm different, like I'm not good enough.
Right.
That's not cool.
Honestly, there's some cases where I would much rather, like, a Trump supporter yelling words than somebody acting like they like me but asking me if I have a father, acting like they like me but complaining about how my hair is always a different color. I'd rather somebody out and loud with it.
Right.
At least I know where we stand.
Mm. So everybody.
That job was like a nightmare.
Oh no. And that's just like in life too. People just need to mind the business that pays them and just get out of people's stuff,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I sure hate that you had to go through that. Like, that's really it's enlightening that we're shedding light on what happened at Showtime. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys have, cleaned up a bit, because that is uncalled for. People of color that are coming into the, entertainment industry, they should feel welcome. They should feel like they have a safe space or a mentor they can go to, while they're working. So I really hate that you went through that. But I'm sure, because you're sitting here now talking to us, I'm sure things got better. So
I'm sure, definitely in my life. And I'm sure Showtime changed all the Me Too and all the stuff all the movements that we done had since then. Because that was 2013. So ever since that was, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure all these years later, 11 years later, I'm sure they figured out how to not be such assholes.
Yeah.
Hopefully so. So you were at Showtime for about 3 years, you said. So then what happened after that? How did you transition into, working with some huge legends in the game and being on different comedy specials? How did that happen? You transitioning from, working in that position at Showtime to becoming an actual comedian in front of the masses, spreading your gift.
So I signed up for comedy writing classes at Gotham Comedy Club, which is on 23rd and something. But yeah, it's in Manhattan. And they had comedy classes. It was this old Jewish lady was teaching writing classes. I'm like, I want to learn the craft because I don't want being funny at the cafeteria and with my friends, that's that's light work. But I want to be a writer. I want people to be like, oh nah, she has a nice pen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I took the writing class, and at the end of the class, we had a show. And when I first started the class, I was terrible, and by the end of the class, I was really good. And then from then, I hit open mics for 2 years straight, 5 times a week for 2 years straight. And then the third year is when I started getting paid gigs, and that's when BET contacted me and put me on their reality show, Hustle in Brooklyn. So the third year is when things started to pick up. But the first 2 years, I was taking myself to shows. I would go to comedy clubs and ask for time, like, hey, can I have 5 minutes? And they used to turn me down. I remember I flew to Atlanta. I was asking for time out there, and no one put me on except for this guy named Fredo Davis. He put me on at this show at a restaurant because he saw me go to this club 3 times. He said, they never put you up? I said, no. He said, I have a show for you tomorrow at the restaurant. Come through. Nice. So I went to that. Yeah, so honestly, I was just begging for stage time. Anywhere I could tell a joke at. Anywhere. So eventually I didn't have to beg no more.
Hey guys, it's Pamela and Nicole from Dynasty Queens, and I'm here today to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, socialmediablaststop.net. If you're out here as an entrepreneur, an artist, a model, you name it, and you're trying to get your business off the ground, they got you covered. Whether you're on social media platforms such as Instagram, X, Facebook, or if you're an artist, if you're on wanting to get on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music, socialmediablaststop.net has you covered. Since you're new to the game, go ahead and save 30% on your purchase with socialmediablaststop.net and get your business going. Go ahead and scan that QR code right down here and got you all set.
I ain't have to beg no more.
Right, exactly. How important is it, you think? Because a lot of people don't realize, they think it's smoke and mirrors, like, hey, here's a new comedian. But they don't realize that you have to put in groundwork, time, dedication. How important is it for someone that's trying to break into comedy, male or female, to make sure, hey, you got to do some shows that are unpaid. You got to make sure you're available 5-6 times a week. What does that dedication look like? And then what would you tell someone who's like year one in the game? Like, how dreadful is it for a new comic?
You got to put that work in. Because I know comedians who are like Instagram comedians, and they're like, oh, this is hard. I'm like, yeah, it's not Instagram. This is real life. There is no delete, cut, paste. Like, it's just you and these people. These people are staring at you. You got to be funny the whole time. So you got to, I understand, like, Instagram does like, I guess the word, like, it gasses a lot of people, and no matter what category they're in, whether it be models or rapping or like it, you know what I'm saying? Because of the followers and the views, they really feel like they're doing something when they really not. You know what I'm saying? Because in person, it don't translate. Like, don't let Instagram gas you. Put that work in. You know what I'm saying? And it'll pay off. You'll get stronger. But it has to be consistent. Don't do 2 shows this week and then at the end of the month you're doing another 2.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you respond? How do you respond to like bullying, or not you in particular, but what words of advice would you give to a comic who may experience someone who's not really, reciprocating the vibe? They're not really feeling the show. What would you tell that comedian?
That'll happen. You just got to take control. First of all, they're like dogs. You can't let them smell that you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But even if you're up there and you're like, oh, this is not going well, I'm dying up here, act like it. Listen, I'm getting paid regardless, or I'm here, I'm having a good time. I don't know about y'all, but I'm having the time of my life. You just go up there and just act like unfazed, unbothered. Unfazed, unbothered. That's it. But take control, though. Don't if there's a heckler, let them know, like, I'm the one with the mic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one with the mic. And, like, again, if you wasn't bullied, I don't know what to tell you, because that bullying really helped me. That bullying, because adults are bullies too.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. That shit does not stop after high school.
Yeah.
There are adult bullies, and they will be in that audience, and you got to let them know, I ain't scared. This ain't the cafeteria. No.
Yeah.
Look, you got the internet haters and you got the reality haters.
Yeah.
And they just show up to the show just because, sometimes. That's awful.
And also, I have another piece of advice real quick I want to give to somebody who's new. If you think something is funny, bring it on that stage. Because there's sometimes where it didn't hit because either your timing is off or you need to work on the delivery. But just because the crowd doesn't laugh at it does not mean it's trash. Work on it. If you in your heart feel like, nah, there's something here, work on that. And eventually the crowd will catch up.
Yeah.
So, Ava, tell us a little bit about mascara and spliffs.
Let me tell you about that. All right, so that's my monthly production. I have a monthly production in Brooklyn. So I host it and I pick comedians and different comedians come. So it's a live stand-up show. And then I have like a raffle at the end where I raffle off, some marijuana products and stuff like that.
Okay.
Now, when I first started it, I started it on my because I had a hard time getting stage time. And then BT came and like everyone wanted me on their stage. And then my monthly shows were always sold out. Now I haven't been, it's been 5 years since I first started the show. And like, I feel like now it's kind of hard for me to pull an audience because there's so many comedy shows. Like comedy is so popular. So on a Friday night in Brooklyn, there's 100 comedy shows.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a little harder to get an audience out now, but I still keep going. Now for the summer, I take breaks because the summertime in Brooklyn is just too much going on. There's so many day parties, rooftop parties, baby showers. There's just too much going on. So I pause for the summer and I'm gonna bring it back in September and then close out in November because I take the holidays off. But I produce it because it's just like, if nothing else, I'm gonna have my stage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have a guaranteed night that I know I'm definitely getting up because this is my shit. And I always open it up to guest spots. I'm like, new comics, please. The first half of the show is all new comics. Because I know how it feels to show up and want comedy, like stage time, and people not taking you seriously. I know how that feels.
I love that you're advocating for new comedians because you've been in those shoes. So that's amazing. It's admirable as well.
Thank you.
For sure. And you just mentioned something a little while back. You mentioned not being able to get stage time. Now, this is the second time I've heard about something like this within like the past 2 weeks because I've been watching like specials about like the dark side of comedy. There's like a special on Hulu right now about all these comics, their challenges, what they went through, some of them overcoming and some of them not. How many times or how long did you show up to these open mics and did not get stage time? Or how many times were you the backup of the backup? Because I didn't even know the backup of the backup was a thing.
Yeah. It was a lot of time. All right, so when I first started, we had bringer shows where she's like, okay, if you don't bring 5 people that says, hey, I'm here to see Eva, you can't get on stage. Because, so that was like the very beginning of my career. And I'm like, hey, this is a really important night. I need you guys to come out. And then people like flaked on me, stood me up, and I wasn't able to get on.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, like could you have asked someone to fill your spot? Like now I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like there was one time I was so excited for the show and I was one short. I had 4 people show up. I was one short and they would not let me on.
Wow.
And I was devastated and then that one person was just like, they went on a date. I'm like, that's cool. But like, you could have brought your date to the show or you could have just sent your sister. It was really important to me that people showed up so that I can get on stage because I was really ready for the set, really excited. So that hurt. Especially like with men, like as a young comic, if you're not giving them no play, if they feel like they can't hit home run with you, I'm not putting her on. Who is she? I'm not putting her on stage.
Wow.
I had people take me off of a tour early in my career because I wasn't messing with him like that.
See, we don't even think about that part of it. Like, right. I'm sure being the average Joe comedian in and of itself has to be tough. You have to have a certain level of confidence, all that. But then you add the layer of being a woman.
Exactly.
On top of that, and you're not getting down with whoever this guy is who runs the place. That's crazy. I've never even thought about that part of it.
Yes,
that's a whole nother part of it. That's crazy.
And there's pay gaps too. There's like in the workplace, there's pay gaps. I've gotten half the pay that a man got.
Yeah.
I've had people be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna let you co-headline with him." I'm like, "Who is he?" He's not. He's a new comic with no TV credits. I've been doing this almost a decade with TV credits. Why am I co-headlining with him? Because he's a man. I've had that.
Man.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Well, we're exposing some people today, y'all. We're shaking the table in the Black female comedy world, so y'all can really know what it is. Because we've heard from Monique's and people like that, but for someone who obviously you have acclimates to your name, but someone that we can reach and talk to still in that capacity, who is vouching for that, for people who are
it's real, man.
That means something.
And there's no HR in comedy. I can't go to HR and write a report. Like, it is what it is, and they'll tell other people, "Oh yeah, don't book her. She always got an attitude." How I had an attitude? I'm not sleeping with you, and I was offended when you asked.
Yeah,
and it's like Neil, like you said, like in the entertainment industry, because we model and everything, like it's everywhere. Like we don't really look at the whole full spectrum of entertainment. Like it is literally every aspect of it that we have to go through this shit,
I just never thought about that with comedy, like the stuff that y'all have to go through.
Yeah.
What is a really bad experience that stood out that you're just like, man, that was just crazy how they did me for that show?
I was doing an overseas trip. And a male comic was opening for me, and he was really pissed about it. He was American. And he was really pissed about it. He's like, "Oh, I've been doing comedy 15 years. Is this clean? Can I curse on here or no?"
You can curse. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was like, "I've been doing this shit for 15 years. Who the fuck is you?" And then he went to the booker and was like, "I should be the headliner." Oh, girl. So I had needed a tripod. He had a tripod, and I wanted to borrow his tripod. And I went to knock on his hotel door, and he opens his room door, fully erect. And like, you know how they can make their penis like jump in their drawers?
Yeah.
He was making it jump in his drawers.
Oh.
And, I'm sorry, my daughter. Oh God. Sorry, y'all. She's like, all right, enough talking to them. So he's making his penis jump in his drawers. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't even need the tripod no more. And then he complained to the booker that I'm headlining, how you've been doing this shit for 15 years, and who am I? Girl, he went on that stage and ran his time. He was supposed to do 20 minutes. He did about 40.
Wow.
Cut into my time. By the time he was finished, the crowd, you have to understand, the crowd is like, it takes attention you have to sit there and listen to comedy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. People sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, they get restless after a while. So by the time I got on, the crowd was restless. He done ran his time double. He did double his time. So I just felt like it was just like he gave me like scraps to work with because it was such a long show. Also the booker, he had too many openers. Like he had a lot of like because it was overseas, so he had like people from their country. Mm-hmm. So he had like maybe 4 or 5 comics from his country go up. Then my feature went up, did double his time. So the show was like over 2 hours. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So like they were exhausted. They were over it by the time I got on there. And it's so crazy because when I tell this story to other comics, they're like, "Girl, you better than me. I would have left." And I got paid in full. Yeah, I would have left because that's complete disrespect. Yeah. And what pissed me off about that is the booker. You knew this man was after him. You knew he was salty about me headlining. You knew that he was, so like when you see him doing 5 minutes over his time, 10 minutes over his time, you should have had a DJ play him off. You should have did something to get him off that stage. You let him rock, talking about he's doing well. That's fine, but you do well within your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
There's, you know what I'm saying? There's etiquette to stand up. You don't run your time. There's comedy clubs in New York. If you run your time, you can't come back in their club.
Oh, wow.
You can't come back in their club. They don't play that.
I think that's fair. That's very fair.
And it is fair.
Yeah.
It is fair. Because you're not about to make this show last longer than it needs to. Yeah. So that by the time the headliner comes on, these people they don't want to hear no more jokes. They want to go home. It's been 2 hours.
That's terrible. That man said, I got a tripod for you. You don't need my tripod. I got
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He's like, I got the baby leg waiting for you.
Then I caught this girl in Atlanta stealing jokes.
I just don't like that. That's really, it's really crummy, and I hate that you went through that experience. But I'm sure other female comics can attest to that. I really want you really quickly to touch on before BET versus after, and how people treated you, and then the fact that you were still who you were the whole time. How did that impact anything? Because I'm sure it did a little bit.
Yeah, before BET, when I thought about doing stand up, people were like, wow, like I got a lot of that. My mom was like the only one. Surprisingly, my mom was the only one that was on board.
Oh, nice.
Everyone else is like, what? Nah, that's stupid. Don't do that. Especially when I was thinking about quitting Showtime. It's like, you're gonna quit Showtime for that? You bugging. Got on BET. All of a sudden, everybody always believed in me. Oh, I always knew it. Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you showed them, girl. You're like, it took some time, but I showed those people.
Even my mother's friends. When I started doing stand-up, they had every opinion in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nasty opinions. Now that I'm doing well, they want to brag to their friends how I'm their niece. They watch me grow up. Da da da.
Oh, that's ugly energy. Like,
very ugly. And I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget. I'm not gonna sit here and smile. I don't care how many. If you knew me since I was 4, you were rude. We're both adults now.
Yeah,
you were rude, and I'm gonna keep the same energy.
Yeah, and you act accordingly because absolutely not. Mm-mm. So I do want to ask you too. I do know you have a podcast yourself.
I do.
Share Zoe. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so we just started. It's fairly new. We're like maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. So shout out to Nina. That's my girl, but I do not know how to say her last name. She's from the Middle East. I call her Nina Boo because that last name is, I'm not gonna do that. So she approached me. She's like, you want to do a podcast? And I'm like, girl, no. Because podcast is work. Okay, I'm a single dog mother. Okay, my dog ain't got no father. Okay, I gotta. I work full time. I have comedy full time. So I'm like, girl, I don't want to do that. And she's like, no. Like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And then we did it. I'm like, you know what? This is great. So it's called the Friendly Talk Podcast. So me and Nina, we passed each other in comedy. Like, I would see her at clubs, and we were Instagram friends. I would show her love. She would show me love. But we never like really talked in real life. Mm-hmm. So the podcast is like basically us getting to know each other. So we exchanging stories. Nice. So I be gagging at her stories and she be gagging at my stories. And then the audience is gagging at both of us. I love it because it's like, girl, I didn't know you did that. She's like, girl, I didn't know you did that. And then the audience is like, both of y'all some hoes. But
but it's genuine though. It's genuine. That's the best part.
It's so genuine, and I love it. It's a great energy. I love, I'm a Black woman. She's a Middle Eastern woman that wears a hijab. So we're very, very different. Because I'm like, tatted, and I show whatever, and she's very modest. Like, if one time her collarbone was showing, and like we had to reshoot it, but like her collarbone, like this is the collarbone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this was showing, and she was like, "Oh no, we got to reshoot that."
Wow.
And yeah, so and then mind you, I'm like, listen, 80 degrees, ass and titties is outside. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we're like on 2 different spectrums. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait for it to be over 70 so I can have ass and titties out. So we're on 2 different spectrums, but we're friends. We respect each other. You know what I'm saying? I never feel judgment with her. That's one thing I was a little afraid of, that because of her Islamic background, that she would be a little judgy. Not at all. I feel like she lives vicariously through me. Yeah. She really enjoys getting to know me, and she enjoys my stories.
That's some good shit. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, please do. We're gonna share Zoe. Shout out to Share Zoe.
Okay, so Eva, you have to let us know. Because I'm sure at this point in time you have come across some of the big dogs in the game. You've worked with some heavy hitters. So who is someone who is like really left a really great impression on you, that we all are very familiar with, and they are everything that we would want them to be, male and female?
I'm gonna go ahead and say D-Ray Davis so far is my favorite comic to work with. So I met him. I did I went to his show at the Improv in Hollywood, and And I was like, yo, can I get 5 minutes? I didn't even ask him. I asked like the younger guy, the host, Lewis Belt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, can I get 5 minutes? And he's like, all right, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. And he brought me up, completely messed up my name. He was like, give it up for Yvonne from Chicago. I'm like, who that? And I get on stage. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna run that back because I done flew 6 hours. You're gonna say my name and my city correctly. So he did that over. And then I feel like my set was all right. But when I came off, D-Ray was like, oh, you're funny. I'm like, word? So fast forward a year later, he DMs me. He's like, yo, you got a strong 30? Like 30 minutes? I say, yeah, why? Who asking? He's like, me, I'm thinking about bringing you on the road. I'm like, he's like, we're going to start off with one show. I'm going to see how you do. He brought me upstate New York. I did one show, killed it. And he ended up bringing me on for 26 shows after that.
Wow.
26 shows. And with D-Ray, I was, because he has like a reputation of like being a womanizer a little bit, like, like on, we all know he's in like in that throuple relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know his intentions, but that man was nothing but professional. That man was nothing but courteous. That man was nothing short of a gentleman. He treated me like I was his sister. Like he didn't cross no lines. He was everything that a woman would want to be, like a woman would expect would want a man to be like on the road.
Right.
Like he surprised me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
good.
Oh yeah, it was such a pleasant experience working with D-Ray. And then he always would drop gems.
Mm-hmm.
He would be like, "Yo, don't lean on the wall so much. It seems like you feel like it comes across as if you need the wall for support. Walk around a little bit." I'm like, "Okay." Walk around a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, this does feel better." Okay. He would say, "Oh, you know what? I feel like you should end this bit on just change the way you say that word. Don't change the word, but just emphasize a little more." I do that. I'm like, oh, it does hit harder when I emphasize a little more. Just gems, knowledge, respect, genuine love. That's my guy. That's really my guy.
I'm going to have you answer the second part for the female in a second, but I just want to say I've seen him a couple of times in person. He is one of the funniest people I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, he's hysterical.
So it's like crying laughter.
Yeah.
When I lived in Houston back home, I saw him at the Improv a couple of times. But yeah, he's really hilarious. So it's good to know that he's like that for real.
Yeah, he's like that for real. He's really sweet.
The gems that you said he dropped, us as regular people who are not comedians, we don't think about stuff like that. But your body language as a comedian does express your confidence on stage and how we perceive you. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Right. Even the way you say things. Like if you say something like as simple as like, girl, bye. Versus girl, bye. You know what I'm saying? It hit, you know what I'm saying? It's the same exact words. But it hits different when you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Articulation, everything.
Exactly. So shout out to D-Ray Davis, man. He's truly a pleasant person.
I'd love to hear that. And then female. What female comedian left an impact on you? Like just you're like, man, she's just amazing.
I didn't get to work with her, but some more.
Okay. Yeah.
Some more. We didn't get to work together, but she did bring me backstage, and she was like, she gave me advice. She was like, don't sleep with none of these boys. She's like, there is too much dick out here that's not telling jokes. Go get you some dick that's not telling jokes. Do not fuck nobody up in here. She's like, keep your private life, because she's a happily married woman. Let me tell you something. Her husband brings her flowers every show.
Oh, I know that's right.
Every show. They are happily married.
Yeah.
But she keeps her, but on stage, she's very much like, and these men be doing this and these men be doing that. Like, she's like, so she's like, keep your happiness to yourself.
Yeah, keep everything.
These bitches don't want to hear how happy you are, how amazing a man is. Like,
that's true.
Keep your happiness private. Don't sleep with nobody. You know what I'm saying? She was like, take care of yourself, but just remember, beauty fades, so make sure up here is sharp forever.
For sure.
Gems. But I would love to work with her one day, but I haven't gotten to. But yeah, she left a lasting impression for sure.
Now, I do know you were on a Twitch show, Nick Cannon's Twitch show.
Oh yeah,
right. Tell us about that,
girl. First of all, I took a nap. Right, I had smoked and took a nap. And when you smoke and take a nap, you be out of it.
Okay.
I woke up and my notifications was blown up. I was like, oh my God, somebody dead. Somebody died. Because the way my phone, I had like 50 missed calls. I had my shit was blown up. I'm like, who died? And I checked and it was Nick Cannon posted my stand-up on his thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was a pleasant surprise. I did meet Nick years ago. I auditioned for Wildin' Out years ago. I didn't make it past I freestyled for him once, and then I made it past the next round, but I didn't get it past that round. So it was nice to see, like, okay, I didn't make it on that show, but eventually I made it on something.
Right.
So yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
So,
man, what's your favorite thing that you've done so far, like in the industry? Like your favorite gig or your favorite, showcase where it left that impression like, man, this is the one for the records. Like, I killed it.
So obviously, like my Netflix stuff, like I did the Netflix festival. This is my second time doing the Netflix festival. I leave on Friday. Those things are cool, and I'm very grateful for them. And I love having those on my resume. But my favorite gig, I'm not gonna hold you, was so like for 2 years, I was a part of this art therapy program for the New York City jails. And it was me and 5 other comedians. We went to the prisons and we would do stand-up for the inmates. I was the only female. So it was me and 5 other guys. And that was my favorite. That was my favorite.
How was that when you walked in? Were they like catcalling and like?
Yeah,
ooh?
it was being inappropriate, of course.
Were you like a little nervous? Like, hey, I'm about to perform in front of some prisoners. Like, I don't know what.
Right. I mean, we had armed security.
Okay.
Armed COs. But you never know. Because even the armed COs aren't completely safe. If a riot breaks out, which a fight did break out one time when we were there, it was on lockdown for like 6 hours. That was scary. We had to go in the basement.
No.
Yeah, it was wild. But it was a little nerve wracking. Mm-hmm. And even to get all right. So even though the show was like an hour, because it was 5 of us, and we're doing like 20 minutes each, so like a little bit over an hour. Like it was a very long process because going through jail, you have to get searched, leave all your stuff. So like even though the show was only an hour, I'd have to block out 3 hours of my day for the going in and coming out process. And I've had people, when I was posting about it on Instagram, I had people like, oh, why would you go and make rapists and murderers laugh? They don't deserve laughter. But I wasn't even thinking about them. I'm thinking about, the young kid who was selling drugs to support his daughter, for his mother, and he got caught up. Should he never laugh again because he was caught with drugs trying to support his family? No. You know what I'm saying? People make bad decisions. Not everyone is a serial killing psycho. Some people just make the wrong. They were scamming because they were trying to. A lot of people just be trying to survive and they get caught up.
Very true.
And a lot of those crimes they're crimes because Black people do them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Drugs get more time than a mass shooting because who's doing mass shootings versus who's selling drugs? You feel me?
Exactly. Right.
So I'm not going to not go and do my jail jokes because there's one psychopath in the audience. Yeah. I'm thinking about the other people who made wrong decisions and they're just trying to survive until they go home.
Right. And I think having a comedian come to see them in a judge-free environment, because if you're up there performing for inmates, you are supposed to be judge-free. Yeah. And just really delivering to them. They're your audience. And in that moment, you're serving them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure it's a sense of humanity like, hey, I do deserve to laugh. Like you said, I'm caught up in this drug conviction. I deserve to laugh.
Right.
I deserve to be able to have a good time and enjoy myself. But I have to ask you, so in order to break the ice with these inmates, what was your entry joke? What would you tell them to break the ice?
I would tell them, I'll be straight. I'll listen, no matter how this goes, I could bomb in here. This be the worst show of my life. When I leave, I'm telling everybody outside this shit I'm killed. Y'all can't leave. I'ma leave. It's my word against y'all's.
That's funny. See?
You gonna use it collect call and tell niggas I was trash? Or you gonna? No, you're not.
Right. Then you got them.
Got them.
I like that.
That's awesome. And that's another way, pay it forward is such a huge thing still. And that, even though that's your passion and everything, you paid it forward. Hey, there might be a comedian upcoming that's in that jail. That's
bro. And it's funny you say that because I had someone after they served their time, they came and saw me at one of my shows. Yeah.
That's dope.
See? That's what's up. I love that.
That was a dope. Yeah, that was really dope.
So I know that you're doing so many things, Eva. We're almost halfway through 2024. What is the remainder of this year looking like for you? Because I know you got some stuff going on. You're about to hit the road and everything. So tell us about that. I know you're excited.
Yeah, girl. So I have 4 shows on the Netflix festival. I leave on Friday, so I'll be gone for a week. And then when I come back, I have some stuff going on. I honestly, I'm planning on Oh, there's a Martha's Vineyard comedy festival that's coming up. Dion Cole, D.L. Hughley, a couple of big names are on there, and I'm supposed to be doing a spot there. Mike Epps just opened a comedy club in Detroit. Yeah. So this weekend, well, this past weekend was their opening weekend. It coincided with the NFL draft. So I'm supposed to be going there soon. I'm trying to do like maybe like a 30-minute special. I want to produce it myself and then sell it to like maybe Comedy Central or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's better. It's better when you do it yourself and then shop it around. You have more control. You get more money versus waiting for someone to be like, "Hey, we want to give you a special," because then they can control where it is, how it looks, even to an extent what you say, how much money you're getting. So I'm trying to do it myself so I could just sell it.
Right. That is so exciting.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes.
I should have known y'all was models. Cause I'm like, oh, these girls is mad pretty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
If you can go ahead and give your handles, let our followers know where they can find you, find your comedy specials, everything.
Yes, y'all. Okay, so Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm at Eva Evans Comedy. Just Eva Evans Comedy. EVAEVANS Comedy. Real straightforward. I'm not on Facebook. I feel like maybe in 30 years when I retire, I'll join it, but not right now. And then what else? No, don't have an OnlyFans. Times ain't that rough yet. And then please go on sharezo.com and subscribe to me and Nina's podcast, the Friendly Talk podcast. It's so much fun to listen to because I be having mad fun making it. So, But yeah, and then what else? And then just keep an eye out for my special. I'm gonna post it on my social media, so
cool.
and stuff like that. I post my shows and everything, so y'all gonna see me.
Yes. Eva, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Yes, you've been a breath of fresh air. We just love it. We are all about female empowerment, and you are out there killing it.
Thank you.
And doing your thing. So we're really excited for you. And guys, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel now. And, leave some comments and some great stuff for Eva because, we know she's about to kill it out there when she hits the road.
You.
And these specials are about to be popping. So we support you. And we'd love to see you in person like one day. We would just love to come to a show or whatever. We would love that. So.
Where in DC?
So I'm in Atlanta, and then she's in Vegas.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely.
But we can figure it out. Don't worry, we can do a part two.
And when I come to New York, you already know. When you come to the city, it's lit.
Right, for sure. But yeah.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming out. And then in closing, again, your girl Nia J and my beautiful co-host
Pamela Nicole.
And until next time, this is Dynasty Queens.
See you next time.